Welcome back to Meatless Monday. It is that time again, and I'm so happy to have my friend Blake with me here today. Blake is going to tell us all about cheeses, and I have my friend Kelly Cleaver in the kitchen back here, and she's
the lovely and talented Kelly Cleaver.
Kelly with her cleaver, Kelly Cleaver, making wonderful grilled cheese sandwiches with truffle oil. Is that right, Kelly?
That's right.
Okay, and so we're gonna have a feast, and then I have some tomato soup on the stove as well. But the feature today is going to be the cheese and the grilled cheese. And Blake, the cheese man, tell us, how do you live on cheese? Do you live on cheese alone?
Daily? No.
Daily
However,
cheese.
but that is basically the whole real basis of this, is this was meant as a transportable form of nutrition thousands of years ago.
Okay.
Took the milk, got it down into a solid, and it was transportable. You know, you find the big, when you hear Swiss cheese,
Oh, hello.
it's basically
This is my little rat joined us.
this one will not be participating in Meatless Monday. I suspect she gets her fair share.
She does, sorry.
They had these huge wheels that would transport, over hundreds of miles. This was transportable nutrition, and it's just basically all of what milk was and all of the protein and all the goodness that came with that boiled down to a transportable, edible piece of nutrition. So fantastic stuff.
I didn't realize that about cheese. So how do you know so much about cheese?
A lot of it from visiting cheesemakers in Europe. I go every year and see new ones and old ones and all of that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So learned at the feet of the masters, you could say. So.
What got you interested in going to?
I've always been
explore
interested
cheese?
in cheese. It's just fantastic. And now, we talked about this earlier before we started, but the commercialization of cheese and industrialization of cheese has kind of taken us so far away from what cheese has always been about. It used to be just farms would milk their animals and make cheese as a local and sustainable thing for themselves. And anything that was extra, they may go to market with.
Yeah.
But typically speaking, in our lifetime, Kraft is what we think of when we think of cheese, and Velveeta. And
Right.
sadly, neither of those are
In
cheese.
America, that's what we think of in the
And
European
it's
side.
actually kind of
That is
hit
not
Europe
cheese.
as well. It's kind of hit that, but
Really?
it's all come back. Some of the cheeses go back.
So my European friends are like, Velveeta is not
That's not cheese. Well, FDA won't even let them call it cheese. They call it a cheese food. So it comes from milk, but then you add all kinds of emulsifiers, colorings, preservatives,
Yeah.
all kinds of things, and it's not cheese.
No, but it's a good Southern staple for most recipes in the South.
Truly that. But again, in Wisconsin too, so what people think of as cheddar is,
We have a big slice of it right here.
interestingly enough, that's nothing like English invented cheddar. And it's nothing like, in fact, I was going to bring up an English cheddar. Color, for example. What color is milk?
White.
It is not that yellow. So
Okay, so where does it get its color?
that's why I brought this one. So this is an English cheese, red Leicester,
Okay.
from central part of England. And the reason that this is colored the way that it is, there we go. This is made in a cheddar style, but they wanted to separate themselves. Cheddar in England is made in the Somerset area, kind of down south in the little peninsula, south and west. But they were in central England and wanted to differentiate themselves from a cheddar. The coloring is from the annatto is the seed from the achiote plant, and it's a South American plant, or Latin American as well. And so they would add this in to create a color with it. This kind of cheese, the yellow that you see like that, is food coloring.
Oh, that's not good.
No. Now, there are cheeses that they'll use annatto in various degrees, but that's pretty much the only accepted coloration, food coloring.
Am I going to get to try this?
Oh, absolutely. I've already got some sliced.
So
So
is
you
it
can
time?
see all kinds of little ridges and things. This is from the cheddaring style. Talking about textures of cheese, this is actually, it's a Gouda cheese, but it's truffle infused. So the little black dots you see are actually pieces of black truffle, but
Ooh,
you can
nice.
also see the little white flecks in there. When you age a cheese, the salt is used in every cheese making process there is, but you can see the salt in that one as well. Because as you age it, the moisture is driven out. That's the whole point of using salt, is it drives the moisture out and it protects against harmful bacteria. So that one you can see,
Oh,
here's
yeah. Do I get to
maybe
taste
an
that?
individual, yeah. So you can see the truffle in there. Here you go.
Okay, let's
about
do
it?
that. I love truffles, so
That's
this
good.
is amazing.
And what I'll do with this, I just did it last night at a showing as well. That
Best cheese ever.
with tomato
Where
sauce
can I
is
get
delicious. Believe it or not, I got this one at Kroger.
This is
So
incredible.
this again, talking about being able to get this at a Kroger. This is what I'm saying about cheese is the new boutique, even though it's been here for thousands of years. Now, good cheese is available at regular grocery stores. Because I used to just call industrial cheese grocery store cheese. What most people
Right.
think about this, you're going to go over to a wine and cheese party and you stop off at the grocery store and you buy that little plastic container that has some sausage in it and cheddar. And
Yeah,
all.
I know.
Don't do that anymore. You've got no reason to do it. And most of these places, you can actually go up to, if there's Central Market, Whole Foods, places like that, go talk to the people working at the cheese counter.
Yeah.
You can have slices of it, get tastes of it, is what I mean.
Oh,
So
that's
you can
good.
sample it before you ever do it. Any of those should be able to do that. That's kind of where the cheese world has become. There's so many parallels between cheese and wine. I'd like to refer to it as the alchemy that both of them have. So wine, you start off as a solid and turn it to a liquid. Cheese starts off as a liquid and turns it into a
Oh,
solid.
hey.
They both are aged. You lay down a bottle for
Right.
a while. Same thing with cheese. Kelly's going to be doing an aged Gouda. That one that she's got is an 8-month-old, which is, you've got a range of it. They've got aged Goudas going up to 5 and 6 years, which are incredible. And that thing I was showing you with the salt crystals and all that, you'll
Right.
see that in an aged Gouda, and even that texturing like you'll see with that. The whole idea of this is, over time, the moisture is driven out, which is what you want in a cheese. So a fresh cheese, you'll eat within a day or two if you're in a little village in France, say for
Okay.
instance.
Like the burratas that are so
Burrata.
popular
A
right
burrata
now?
is basically what that is it's a skin, it's mozzarella inside of, it's almost a sack of,
Yeah.
it's stuffed inside this little sack of cheese. So yeah, that's a very fresh
You have to
cheese.
eat that right away.
Very quickly, yeah. So that's a fresh cheese, and you can have cheeses like a Parmesan, minimum aged 2 years. And I've seen them, 20, 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Just amazing.
And is
All the
it,
time.
do they get harder the older they become?
Yeah, it's the moisture.
Okay.
Moisture content. Yeah, you drive out all the moisture. And we're back to that whole thing about transportable nutrition again.
Yeah.
The fact that there's no moisture, and whatever's going to be done to that cheese was done long ago, bacteria, any of that.
And the
Goes
salt
away.
takes care of the bacteria.
It helps form the rind, and the rind's job is to protect the cheese. So along those lines, let's even talk about this. Most people are familiar with the brie.
Love brie.
The thing with the brie,
I like the outside. I eat this.
oh,
Is
I
that
do as
okay?
well. Oh, absolutely. The
Yeah.
job of that, though, is to preserve what they call the paste, the center of it, and to help it develop its flavor. This one also, this is a goat milk cheese.
Yeah.
It's also brushed. So interesting, what the white is they brush it with basically bacteria, penicillin.
So you're talking about the white part on the outside.
Yeah, it causes it to bloom.
Okay.
This is what's referred to as a soft, bloomy rind cheese. So
And wait, you said something about penicillin.
yes, they actually spray this with Penicillium candidium, is the particular bacteria.
Ooh, for all you
There
pharmaceutical
we go.
people out there.
And there's actually 3 different kinds of bacteria that you'll usually find associated with developing a cheese. In washed rind cheeses, it's called Brevibacterium linens, or B. linens, which also grows all over your skin as well.
Right.
So that's why when you get a stinky cheese, usually it's a washed rind cheese, and it smells like stinky feet.
You
That's
know
right.
what? Stinky cheese. I was at a friend's house once, and I walked in, and I thought, oh, geez, she has a dead rat in her walls. And then she went to the refrigerator and opened it up, and then this wave of stink came over the room, and she said, oh, sorry, I just, if you smell something, she couldn't smell it anymore. She goes, we just got back from France, and I brought some stinky
I
cheese
love
with
it,
me.
Yeah.
You've got to try it. And I'm like, I don't think so. But then I tasted it, and it's so good.
And that's the thing. Usually the aroma is far more powerful than the flavor itself. Because
Oh.
usually washed rind cheeses, that'll impart a little bit of the flavor down into the paste. But for the most part, it's actually very mild. I didn't
This
bring a
one
washed
has
rind.
the stinky.
Well, this
because
is not
something
stinky.
here does stink. Just to be honest with
Probably,
you.
maybe.
Smell my feet.
Again, don't say. Could be. This one, possibly, I don't know. You might pick them up and smell them, because I would
Okay,
treat this
I
the
think
same
it's
way.
this one.
No, that's a goat cheese. You shouldn't
No?
get much off of that.
No?
quite possibly the blue.
Okay. I think it's this one.
Interesting. So what this one is, this is a triple cream brie. So in most cheese making, some of them will pull off, they'll skim the milk. So basically, it's taking the cream off. But you've got a double and a triple cream. And what they do is they add cream back in, and it has to be a minimum fat content to be qualified as either a double or a triple cream.
Is that right?
Yeah. And so these cheeses are just luscious. I mean, that's ultimately what we're after is the fat.
My mouth is watering.
Oh,
so
yes.
I just taste it.
Now this is a point. Usually people think crackers for cheese.
Yeah.
Only use those for soft cheeses, for structure. The rest of it, you're going to likely take away what the cheese is all about in the first place. You don't want anything to fight. So if you're going to use a cracker, make it like, a water cracker that really doesn't have any flavor of itself. You're just looking for structure just to get the cheese into your mouth.
Got it.
Instead of just taking a spoon and licking it.
Okay.
It's a delicious cheese. You're going to be hooked immediately on that one. So this is a French cheese. This is a St. Angel triple cream.
So it looks like you have cheeses from all over here. Where are these from?
As I said, this one's from Central England. This is a British cheese. It's a cow's milk cheese. Well, speaking of milk, let's talk about that for a second. Basically, any mammal is basically capable of making cheese. So you have the big three are cow, sheep, and goat. Mm-hmm. But there's a fourth one, that you'll see frequently from Italy, is water buffalo. You'll see it called just buffalo cheese. And it was originally the water buffalo were brought into Italy, southern Italy, in their attempt to do rice. So they were used to make the rice patties work.
No way.
And rice didn't really take over in Italy, but the cows remained, or the buffalo. And it's still a big thing. So if you see bufala, in fact, if you go get your pizza made with bufala mozzarella, that's what it is. It's water buffalo.
Oh my gosh, very cool.
Interesting. But you have any mammal. So there is Arag, a Turkish cheese made from horse milk. There is a reindeer milk cheese.
Reindeer?
The thing about it is the capacity. I mean, there are tons. One cow in a year will produce an incredible amount. I forget off the top of my head. Next would be goat. And then at the very end of it would be sheep. This one, I want you to have a bite of this. This is like my daily love. I love this one.
What is this?
So this is from the Pyrenees. This is in Basque country, which Basque country is both northern Spain, northwest Spain along the Atlantic, and southwest France. This is a sheep milk cheese. And thing is, in those lands, everything's very hilly. Good. Cattle don't do so good. They need flat land and pasture, so mostly sheep. Okay. Yeah, I love this one. This is a delicious cheese.
What do you pair this with?
Typically, if you're going to do like a wine pairing, there's so many different flavors geographically there. So if we've got one that's in that region, the wine's going to go great with that from that region.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on that?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I like
delicious cheese. The terroir, they call it.
Terroir.
Terroir in wine terms is just the land.
Okay.
And so if you have the animal, the vegetation that it's eating, there are cheeses. There's one of my favorites it's technically a Portuguese cheese, although it's in the Azores, which is 900 miles from Portugal in the middle of the Atlantic. The Flemish brought cattle to there hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and you really taste the hay that the animals ate. I love a barnyardy cheese, they call it. I love it.
Cheese.
And so you really get, same thing with, if you hear people talking about wine, it's like, I taste raspberries and mushrooms. And some of that's just, terminology that they do for tasting.
Yeah.
But some of that, really comes from the area. Well, speaking of Gouda, which she's using to cook with, we showed you the truffle in this one before. Goudas are always wax coated, typically in red, but they're somewhat color coded. So if you see green, that means that there's herbs used in there. Black usually means that it's been aged 2 or more years. That's part of the reason that you see crystals in this.
The outside color of the
wax.
Okay. Wait. So that means something?
Mm-hmm.
Because you see red wax
typically
and green, black wax and green wax.
Black means usually. Of course, Gouda is not a protected name. Meaning that, and lots of cheeses are, like a Roquefort. This is not a Roquefort. We'll talk about that one in a second. Roquefort can only be There's only 7 makers of Roquefort cheese, and it has to be made in these caves.
In order to be called Roquefort,
It has
right?
to be. So it's a
It's not like
protected
Champagne
name.
is from-
Champagne, exactly the same
Has to
thing.
be from
has to be
France, or
from
else
no
it's-
that one region of
Okay,
France.
okay.
Yeah. So speaking, we're talking again about bacteria. This is another penicillin. This is Penicillium roqueforti. It's actually named
try this.
after that. But this one is not a Roquefort. It's
Going
close
in.
to it. It's a little north. This one is most people don't know this either.
That's a big piece.
Yeah, it is. I thought you had a bigger piece of bread.
I broke it in half.
Roquefort,
How about I make a little
Roquefort is made from
sandwich?
sheep's milk, but this is actually
Okay.
a cow's milk type of Roquefort. And so what'll happen is the penicillin gets all up inside this.
Hmm.
They'll actually poke holes in it. Oh, this is a delicious cheese. I love this one. And they'll poke holes in it so that the bacteria can get all up inside there. So that's what the blue veins are.
You are a wealth of knowledge of cheeses. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your knowledge of cheese with us.
Yeah.
This is amazing. Now I cannot wait to see what Kelly has for us.
Yes. Let's
In the
see.
kitchen?
Dig in.
With those sandwiches, we good back there?
Yes, we are ready to go. back
Going
here.
mobile.
And
Awesome.
Amanda's soup is cooking over here.
Yep. Made a tomato soup to go with this, and we have fruit for dessert because we need a little fruit with all this cheese.
That's
Let's
the
move
camera.
on to grilled cheese. So what you doing, Kelly?
I am making some awesome cheese sandwiches, not just any cheese, grilled cheese sandwiches. I'm making aged Gouda, and we're gonna top it off with a little truffle oil to
Absolutely.
make it super gourmet.
It's our theme tonight.
I
Truffles.
know. Let's go on a truffle hunt.
Okay.
So I
Let
did
Blake
one.
take us.
Yep, I did one with aged Gouda, and this is just my favorite is Old Amsterdam Gouda, which you can get at Whole Foods, Central Market, Costco. You can get a big hunk at a better
Yes.
price. I recommend that. And then this one we're just going to do a little hunk of brie,
Oh my gosh, that looks good.
and you know it's not rich enough or decadent enough brie, so we're gonna put it in some sizzling butter over
Of
here.
course.
So,
Because it's not fattening enough.
no, well we're not worried about fat. We're
No,
worried about
we're not. We're
energy.
Flavor. We worry about flavor, yes.
Ah, yeah. And actually, the skillet's on pretty low. No, it's not. You want to turn that down to low? Because you don't want to rush the toast. You want to make sure the cheese is all
Yep.
melty.
It's down on low.
Of course, this is a pretty soft cheese, so it's going to melt. But it's going to soak up all that brown butter.
And you've got some already
Got some
toasted
already-
over
yep,
here.
We're just going to keep these warm, serve
Oh,
those
they
up.
look
and
so
then
pretty.
Drizzle some truffle oil over there.
Nice.
Gorgeous. And we're going to
Nice.
serve them with a little tomato sauce.
Oh yeah, and I made some tomato soup here. My recipe is super, super easy, and we won't even go into it, but we're just gonna enjoy.
I'll go into it. Just do
Oh
a
my
little-
gosh,
so
okay.
quick.
It's embarrassing how easy it is. You just take a can of your diced tomatoes with basil and garlic flavored, your favorite jar spaghetti sauce, and then a bunch of cream. So I took 2 jars of spaghetti sauce and about a cup and a half of cream, heavy whipping cream. I'm just gonna pour that cream in here and then top it off with some fresh basil. And this is gonna taste, believe it or not, it just tastes good. I don't, it really.
Also, this would be a great pasta sauce as well. If you
Oh,
just
for
cook
sure.
it down a little bit, or just dilute a little liquid.
For sure, but
You
it's.
could throw some
Oh,
pasta.
I did
meat.
saute an onion, half an onion in it before. So yeah, just make it, add cream, and it's easy. It's so simple, but I go for the simple stuff because I work all day and want to feed my kids at night, and there it is. It's done. How simple is that?
And I'm going to make a little, just a nice kind of French influence butter lettuce salad. So we're just going to whip up a little real quick salad dressing, just a little olive oil or just a little bit of mustard. And do a squeeze of beautiful lemon. It's a Meyer lemon. Pretty. Throw some shallots in there. Some salt. Give it a little taste. Here's some fresh leaves. I love butter lettuce. It's got a little more oomph to it. Just give it a toss. Throw in some tomatoes. Oh, and Amanda, I'm
Yes.
gonna put some corn in my salad.
I love it.
I love corn.
We're gonna fry it?
No, we're just gonna eat it raw.
Seriously?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Little dressed with Olive oil, same dressing.
Okay.
It's gorgeous. I love corn.
I love corn too.
Did you know in Paris,
They
they don't eat corn. They're so missing out.
Okay. This is how you want to chop your basil, or julienne the basil. Stack your leaves like so. Right? And you're going to make little thin ribbons by rolling it. First you roll it up. Like a little cigar roller. And then I'm going to use, now you've got thin ribbons of julienne basil. And this is going to top the soup. There we have it. Simple.
And for the finishing touch on the grilled aged Gouda sandwich, just a couple little droplets. Don't get crazy, but just a couple little droplets, or you could brush it on, or you could get crazy. Ooh, so we got some brown butter, we got some truffle oil. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be good. And the bite? So good.